Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrix. What's up, Jimmy?
Oh, Tyson, as I often do, I'm looking around my office trying to figure out what's going to be my hack of the week when we get to the end of the show.
That's pretty funny because as you were saying that, I was just thinking, shit, I didn't come up with a tip. So
That's all right. Well,
I'll do the same thing.
we got 30 minutes. I'm sure our wonderful guest today will help spark some ideas in our head of what to share.
I am sure that is true. So let's jump right in. Introduce our guest.
So our guest today is a longtime friend of the show, a wonderful guild member, a great lawyer down in Alabama. His name is Nathan Harris. His mom is from Ecuador, and his dad was in the Peace Corps in Ecuador, and they met. And then Nathan came along, and he's been a lawyer down in Alabama, focusing on the Hispanic community. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.
Nathan, so tell us and the listeners about your journey and how you got to where you are now.
So my journey started in the 70s, as Jim was alluding to, with Dad and the Peace Corps. It's kind of cool. Dad's sitting out on my, I've got a deck right off my office. He came to visit me this afternoon. He's sitting out there smoking his pipe, drinking tequila, just hanging out with me this afternoon. But it started with him going into the Peace Corps in the 70s to Ecuador, actually in an agricultural role. It was teaching, was supposed to be teaching the folks down there how to raise chickens and how to raise cows. What he was doing was drinking beer, counting sunsets, and chasing pretty girls. So I can't blame him. I mean, if I was in his shoes at that age, I would have done the same thing. But he met Mom at an embassy party because Mom was of a class much higher than he was. Her family was in the ruling government at the time. It was a military dictatorship. And so she grew up with, all sorts of help, all sorts of drivers and whatnot. But they met. He tricked her into coming back to rural Alabama. And they had a bunch of kids. They were serial entrepreneurs. At one point, they had 5 children and 6 businesses going at the same time. 2 locations of an insurance brokerage, 2 locations of a pizzeria, and 2 locations of a video store back in the 80s and 90s when that was like a lucrative thing, renting out videos. But I always saw clients coming into the insurance office that needed help and that were getting screwed over by insurance companies. And my family being Hispanic, I always saw immigrants getting screwed over, not just by insurance companies, but by everybody, especially here in Alabama. Everybody loves to hate on immigrants in Alabama. And so I decided to go to law school, graduated, passed the bar. It was the height of the recession in 2010. Nobody was hiring. I couldn't work for free at that point. Just nobody was hiring. Went out, started my own thing, did that for about 18 months. A local lawyer had pity on me, said, come work for me. Learned how to do some civil cases, learned a lot about criminal, learned a lot about trials and how to help people through the courts and through those kind of things. And then I moved to where I am now in Birmingham. Came along. Looks like Dad's going to come in here, so there might be a little bit of noise. But came to the firm where I'm at now, Abogados Centro Legal. I had a partner for several years, and then ended up buying the firm from him. We had a very good case. He ended up with a good lick, and he decided that he wanted to get out of being a lawyer. So he took his money, my old law partner, that is, and he started a medical funding company. So when there's clients that don't have access to, medical care, he is put together a network of doctors around the country where they can get the medical care that they need. And it really helps the value of the case, and it really helps the client get the medical care that they need after a car wreck, is kind of what they're focused on. So that really helps my clients because about 99% of undocumented immigrants are 100% uninsured in terms of health insurance. So that really helps my clients as well. But our firm, my firm has always been focused on the undocumented Spanish-speaking immigrant for as long as I've been associated with it. And primarily in three areas: personal injury, some labor law cases, and then immigration, because every one of my clients, every one of our, target market has an immigration problem.
So I got a question for you. With
Yeah.
such a heavy Spanish-speaking clientele, are some people surprised when they find out your name is Nathan Harris? Like, does that sort of throw people for a loop?
No one's ever said that, like, oh, you've got a really gringo sounding name or anything like that. Not really, but what they really find funny is that my first name is Edward, not Eduardo. And so, nobody's really been thrown for a loop, but I get called all sorts of things too. Nathan, Nissan. Nathan's just not a very common name in Latin America.
So following up on that, I mean, we had a hot seat a couple months ago in the Guild, and you talked about how you market your firm to the Latino immigrant community. Could you just tell our listeners a little bit about some of the cool things that you do to market to your clientele?
Yeah. So I kind of feel like I'm scratching back through my memories now. What did I say on that Guild hot seat? But we do a mixture of traditional, kind of some guerrilla marketing things in terms of magnets that we've passed out over the years in tiendas, Mexican stores. And then we do a lot of digital. But we really focus on not only being just in the community, but being a part of the community. We've really been hitting for the last couple of years saying we're not just, we're not just in the community. We're not just your lawyer, but we're also Hispanic. We have Hispanic hearts. We're here for the community because that's who we are.
So Nathan, in your questionnaire for the podcast, you'd mentioned one of the things you wanted help with was scaling up. And so I guess specifically, what are some of the struggles you're having when it comes to scaling the firm?
It's always difficult, I think, to try to find the right people to put into the right seats. And I'm so glad that Wendy's here with us today, my marketing assistant, because we've looked for a long time to try to find that right person to put in that seat, especially someone that is truly bilingual, truly bicultural, and understands the plight of our clients in a very real and authentic way. So finding people is hard, even before the great, not great recession, but great whatever walkout that we're in now happened. It's always been very, very difficult to find the right people to fit in those seats.
So let me follow up on that, Jim. I guess, what is it about that specific role that you need to find someone for? Is that something that you find that's just taking too much of your time? Do you think that's what's going to accelerate your growth the most? Like, why specifically that position?
Why the marketing assistant position?
Right.
Yeah, I think it'll absolutely accelerate the growth because I love marketing. I mean, I really like it. I dig it. It's what I like to do. I think I'm a better marketer than I am trial lawyer, than I am much better marketer than I am manager of people. But there's just not enough of me to go around. I've got 3 kids, a young wife, XYZ that all of us have, pulling us in a million different, different areas. But I've got all these ideas that I want to implement and all these marketing ideas that I want to do, but I can't be at events every weekend and be at seminars every weekend and be with my family every weekend. And so it's just getting pulled in too many different directions.
Do you have a leadership team, Nathan, or is it everybody? Are you the center spoke that everybody comes to ask stuff?
Yeah, I do not have a leadership team. And that's something that we, at the mastermind day that I kind of see that I need to start focusing on. And so I've got the book Traction and EOS, looking at that and how that can be implemented in the firm. But no, I don't have a leadership. I'm in the middle and everybody's kind of going off that.
Tyson, that's something we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about, but one of the things that's really made a huge change for us is, our leadership team now is up to 4 people. So, obviously it's Amani, my spouse and the law partner, and then Adela, who's been with me since day one, and then Laura Clark, who's just a flat out rock star. So just having that, having people to talk to, having people to bounce ideas off of. And when Nathan said, I have lots of ideas that I want to implement, one of the great things about the leadership board at our firm is that they tell me no for most of my ideas, right? Like I have so many ideas that one of the great gifts that they give me is telling me, focus on this for the quarter, maybe do that next quarter, maybe never do that. So I think, and then the other piece is that center spoke is a real trap. It's a real trap that a lot of law firm owners get into. I was certainly in that place for a really long time. And I think that as far as your issue, Nathan, with finding the right people, I've really come to believe that our job as law firm owners is to find quality people, see what their unique ability is, their special sauce, the thing that they're really, really good at, because most people are only really, really good at 1 or 2 things, and then moving them into that area as opposed to trying to fill positions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And that's why when I first looked at EOS, I was like, well, I need to get my wife involved. My wife is a great manager. She'd be great at operations. The problem is we got 3 young kids at home and she is doing that. We
managing that.
homeschool our kids. Yeah, exactly. And she's doing a great, awesome job at it. But she just doesn't have the capacity to come in and do that with the firm too. And we had a conversation probably 2 weeks about that. And she's like, I can either do that or I can be at the house managing that. And, as much as I love my firm, I love my kids more. And so we're going to continue to invest in that and keep doing that and find somebody else to help take on that more management HR role here in the firm. But at the same time, I've got, we've restructured our immigration practice where my immigration attorney is now the head of that practice. And it's going to look like a triangle going down from there, where he is, he's the face, he's the go-to guy for that practice. And then my PI associate, she's going to be the same way. It's going to start with her and go down. I'm still in the PI world because we handle some complex cases, some larger, 7 and 8 figure cases that I like to stay involved in when we refer those out for client purposes and for referral lawyer purposes. So I do stay involved in the firm on that part.
So I know that you're doing the EOS now, Nathan. I know that the majority of the people in the guild do EOS, but I actually just so happen to have my scaling up the people, the function accountability chart. The scaling up uses very similar systems, but what I like about scaling up is it gives you the different functions for the vast majority of companies, and you can change these a little bit. So you've got head of company, marketing, R&D/innovation, sales, which we've changed to leads team, operations, treasury, controller, information technology, human resources, talent development/hiring, customer advocacy, and then we added one also called legal advocacy. And then they also, which I think you might find interesting, because you've got the immigration component plus the injury component, where you actually also will appoint heads of different business units, because you have different business units. Yeah. And as we're launching our estate planning practice, we'll have a different business unit as well. So it is something you might want to look at it just to see if maybe that might fit well for you. But as you begin, it sounds like you are starting to put the people in place, which I think is fantastic. What ultimately is your goal for the firm? Like, what do you? And I don't really want to get into the vision stuff. We don't need to get into that. But what is ultimately your goal for the firm? What do you want it to look like in 5 years?
It's funny, I was on Joey's podcast earlier today and I used a metaphor, and I think it might be a bad metaphor because of the connotations that it has with it. And Wendy over here to my right is laughing, but it might end up looking kind of like a cartel. And that's not because I've got, associations with the cartel or anything like that, but there's a guy at the top. But before Pablo Escobar got brought in on the drunk driving charge, whatever, and they got his mugshot, nobody really knew what Pablo looked like. Okay. So there was kind of this amorphous head to this big organization, and maybe Xerox is a better company to go with instead of the Colombian cartels. But there's big organization that's out there. I want to be the organization in Alabama that's fighting for immigrants, doing some great work through immigration and through PI, with me at the very head of it, kind of moving pieces in the background. But I don't have any desire to have my face on a billboard in Times Square, like John Morgan. I don't have, my ego doesn't need that much stroking.
That's so funny, because I was in Times Square last Saturday and I said to Tyson that one day my face was going to be up on that billboard.
Yeah,
So
I remember that now.
I must have that ego. You're listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Our guest today is Nathan Harris, Abogado Nathan. We're really glad to have him. And, obviously we talk a lot in the guild and in the big group about niching down. And I think it's interesting that you have a niche for sure. There's no doubt about it. It's not a vertical niche. It's across a population niche. And so how do you get the two to work together, the two practice areas?
Yeah. So it's kind of like we have picked our people group that we're going to work with, and that avatar. And for me, it's a undocumented immigrant that's here in Alabama, that's between 16 and 65. They work in construction. They may live in a dangerous area of the city. They definitely have a dangerous job. And it's just a high calamity group of people. And that's who we want to help. And that's who calls us. That's who all of our marketing is 100% focused on. All of our marketing is in Spanish, in laser focused on that people group. And so we help them with the personal injury, we help them with the immigration, and we help them with overtime and minimum wage violations in-house. But we also get a lot of other calls for criminal defense and property issues. And, somebody, hasn't paid me for 2 weeks, and it's not an overtime minimum wage issue. It's just a contract issue. So we've got a group of other lawyers that we trust, that we know will do a good job and take care of our immigrant group that we got here in Alabama, and kind of send that out. So that's how we've niched down on that immigrant group, not necessarily our practice areas, but at the same time, we don't take any cases outside of our 3 practice areas. If they don't fit in our pigeonholes, that's not where we're an expert at. So that we're not going to take that case. We're going to send them out to other experts.
So Nathan, have you ever thought about taking and just getting rid of some of these practice areas, like 1 or 2 of them, and just focusing on one thing? And why not, if you've not? And by the way, I've changed my profile picture based on.
Oh, I thought that was you. I'm sorry.
So yeah, but what is your, what are your thoughts on getting rid of a practice area?
Yeah, and I've thought about that. And the one that we actually don't have any overtime and minimum wage cases right now, because I've set the bar so high on what it will take to get us involved in one, because they're just so difficult in terms of their time suck. The time suck on my time suck on my associates' time. So we still advertise that we do those, because there's still a lot of issues going on with those. But over the years, we filed over 200 individual FLSA actions. And through that, we've been able to effectuate change in Mid and North Alabama, the way that the Mexican restaurants, the Chinese restaurants, the hotels are paying these immigrants. And so now it's not nearly as big of a problem as it was, say, 6-7 years ago, when we were really blowing and going in that practice area. So we're not really doing anything in that group, but we still advertise it. We still keep it on everything, because people know us by that work we've done and by those results we've gotten. In terms of immigration, I don't really want to get rid of that. I know that we have a big group of immigrants and immigrant clients that we represent in that practice area. And so see directly, probably 5 to 10% of our PI cases are direct referrals from our immigration cases. So they have a case in each practice group. But in addition, that doesn't take into account to family members that they refer to us, to friends they refer to us. Some of our biggest, 7-figure cases come from, we represented them in a immigration capacity 5 years ago. They remember that we were there for them, that we helped them, we fought for them, and they trust us. Even when there's other lawyers here in Alabama that are running that case, knocking on their door, trying to get them to sign up with them, they call us, ask us to come out, ask us to help them with that.
That's awesome. Nathan, I believe we've talked before about you have outsourced some of your team, that you don't have your entire team in the United States. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we've got 2 team members that are in South America. One is through Sandy Van's group, and we do a lot of PI, kind of some smaller PI cases where there's a property damage component. And so we've got her in charge of negotiating that property damage component. And that's because all of our clients that are involved in a car wreck are always pissed off because their car's messed up. And so I didn't want to be that lawyer and say, well, we can't help you with your car, go do that yourself. I want to help our clients 100%. So she's with us, she's, I think she's working 35 hours a week, maybe 40 hours a week at this point, almost handling just property damage stuff. But it makes our clients happy that they've got somebody there helping them move that process along. It's not getting stuck, that they'll send the documents to our office, that they'll get signed, that somebody's negotiating on their behalf. And there's not a whole lot of negotiation being done. Tyson probably knows this on a property damage settlement. It's real easy to see, hey, a 1996 Camry is worth $3,000. Here's 10 of them that they found for sale in this geographic location. And so this is the price we're going to offer. And then in addition to her, that her name is Catherine, that does our property damage settlement, I have a guy in Bogota, Colombia. He used to be in-house here for years and years, and he decided to move back, get married, start a family, be with his family in Colombia. So he works directly for us, but from Colombia. He has, for the last 9 years, he's worked virtually for us. So a long, long time. But he does all the MVC stuff, the National Visa Center stuff. He does a lot of the stuff where they need to go through embassies and consulates and the immigration stuff that we don't have to have him in the office for. And he also helps with the marketing stuff as well. I sent him to some marketing, digital marketing courses there at the University of Bogota in Colombia. And so he was going to class at night, working for us during the day. I was paying for all of it. It was a lot cheaper to go to university there in Colombia than it is here. And so he knows how to do a lot of that social media marketing and is a lot better at it than I am.
All right. At the risk of putting us over time, I'm still going to ask another question. You are always really upbeat, and you don't seem to struggle with much. So I'm going to ask this question.
Okay.
What is it that you do struggle with? Because not everything is as great as in every firm as you make it seem. Like you have a very positive attitude and everything seems to be going great for you. Tell me, what is it that you're struggling with?
I struggle with stress and I struggle with my weight. So if we can figure out how to take those out of my life, that would be great. No, I mean, there's always daily struggles, but you just can't be too serious with yourself. Can't be too serious with your firm.
All right. So my last question is, I know, Nathan, that you spend a lot of time thinking about running your firm. I know you're in the guild and you're in other groups too. Why is it important for law firm owners to have that growth mindset and to, work towards making their firm better?
Well, we have an obligation not just to ourselves, but we have an obligation to our employees. We have an obligation to our clients. We have an obligation to our communities as lawyers, I think. And so I think that I need to be able to run my firm as well and as efficiently as I can to be able to get the best results for my clients as we can, and especially for our immigrant group here in Alabama, because there's just not a lot of people trying to help immigrants in Alabama.
All right, Nathan. I know that by the response to my question, how short it was, given how long your other responses have been, we need to dig back into that in the guild at some point. So, but I am going to wrap things up because we are going to be over time if I don't. I want to remind everyone to join us in the big group on Facebook. If you've not done so already, we've got over 5,000 members, a lot of great information being shared. If you want a more high-level conversation, join people like Nathan in the guild. Go to maxlawguild.com. Make sure you get your tickets to the conference, maxlawcon2022.com, before those prices go up. Jimmy, what's your hack of the week?
As I predicted, Abogado Nathan did not let us down, and I came up with my hack of the week. And that is, there's a great TED Talk and a great chapter in Stephen Levitt's book about how drug dealers run their business like McDonald's. If you haven't read Freakonomics, it'll blow your mind on things to think about, but Nathan is right that there are a lot of lessons to be learned in how to run your business, whether your name is Ray Kroc or Pablo Escobar. So I highly recommend at least watching the TED Talk, if not reading the book.
I love Stephen Levitt. Stephen Levitt is good, so good. His podcast is fantastic too. So good stuff. All right, Nathan, what is your tip or hack of the week?
I forgot I was supposed to come up with one. So the tip or hack of the week, I'm going to just shoot off the cuff here, is to listen to the Max Law podcast and get those golden nuggets out of there and implement them into your firm.
Love it. So I got the cheat because our good friend Jay Ruane sent me a text because he's watching with the tip of the week. So it's fantastic. He gave me one. By the way, fantastic product, finalized. Go to maxlawaccountability.com, maxlawaccountability.com to get the finalized product. It's a great accountability tool. So check it out. But that's not the tip. The tip is lorman.com, LORMAN.com. And they're having an all access pass sale this week for Thanksgiving. And you can buy the pass and give it to your staff to learn things they can use. And Jay says things like how to use Adobe, let your office manager take classes on how to effectively and legally fire someone, how to manage if you're an introvert. So a lot of great classes. So I'm going to check this out myself. So thanks for that tip, Jay Ruane. So I'm going to try that out. I think my team are going to have a lot of fun with this. So thank you very much. So that's my tip of the week. Nathan, thank you so much. We've been wanting to get you on forever, so we finally got you on. And this
absolutely.
Thank
you for having me.
Thanks, buddy. Good seeing you.
Yeah, good seeing y'all.